Every summer, the waters of Lake Lanier in Georgia claim more lives. Since its creation in the 1950s, hundreds of people have drowned, many in calm weather. Some victims vanish without a trace. Others resurface days, months, even years later. Still wearing life jackets, still unexplainably dead. Locals whisper of ghosts, cursed water, and the chilling sensation of being pulled under by invisible hands. But the real horror doesn't lie in folklore. It lies beneath the surface, buried under the waves, under decades of silence. And it starts with a town called Oscarville. Oscarville was once a small but thriving Black community in Forsyth County, Georgia. A place of churches, farms, and families, built by Black residents after emancipation. In the early 1900s, they owned land, ran businesses, and were building a future in a county growing increasingly hostile to their presence. In September 1912, everything changed. On the morning of September 9th, a white girl named May Crow, age 18, was found unconscious in the woods. She had been brutally beaten, with injuries suggesting sexual assault. She died in a hospital 2 weeks later. White authorities quickly arrested a 16-year-old Black boy named Ernest Knox, allegedly after he confessed under intense and possibly coerced interrogation. He named another teenager, Oscar Daniel, as an accomplice. Daniel's sister, Trussie Daniel, was also arrested, accused of covering up the crime. But the legal process never had a chance to play out. The day after the arrest, Rob Edwards, a 24-year-old Black man, was accused of being involved, despite no direct evidence. Before he could be tried, a white mob dragged him from jail, shot him, and lynched his body in the town square. Thousands gathered to watch. Knox and Oscar Daniel were tried by an all-white jury in less than a day. They were convicted and publicly hanged in October, just weeks after the crime. The crowd that gathered to watch the execution reportedly numbered in the thousands. But the violence didn't end with the hangings. White mobs began a campaign of terror across Forsyth County. Black homes were firebombed, churches were destroyed, shotgun blasts shattered windows at night, signs were nailed to trees. Negroes must leave Forsyth. Within weeks, over 1,000 Black residents were driven out of the county. Families were forced to abandon their land and businesses. Much of that property was later sold, often cheaply, to white neighbors and speculators. Oscarville was emptied. Its name faded from maps. Forsyth County would remain nearly all white for decades, not by accident, but by violence. By the 1950s, Atlanta was growing and thirsty. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers began construction on Buford Dam to control flooding and supply water and electricity to the metro region. To build the massive reservoir that would become Lake Lanier, the Corps acquired more than 50,000 acres of land across Hall, Forsyth, Dawson, Gwinnett, and Lumpkin counties. They flooded entire valleys, including the remnants of long-abandoned towns, and some that were still active. Among the displaced, Oscarville, already depopulated by racial cleansing decades earlier, parts of Dunlap, New Bridge, Auraria, Gainesville's outskirts, and multiple farming communities. Homes, churches, bridges, roads, and cemeteries were submerged. In many cases, buildings were simply left behind, too costly or remote to demolish. The Army Corps claimed to move more than 250 graves, but many were unmarked or forgotten. Families were often given little notice, pressured to sell. Records from the time show that some graves were missed entirely. Even now, divers find stone foundations, collapsed barns, and full structures resting on the lake bed, preserved by the cold water. Lake Lanier was created not on empty land, but over entire forgotten towns. This map shows where Lake Lanier sits today, but beneath the surface, it's not just water. What you're seeing here is real underwater footage from the lake, where remnants of buildings, roads, and forgotten structures still lie, untouched since the 1950s.
Forsyth, Hall, and Dawson counties to make room for the 38,000-acre lake and more than 700 miles of shoreline. This included several small towns, and the remains of these communities are still submerged beneath the surface of Lake Lanier.
Lake Lanier has claimed over 700 lives since it was filled. That number is staggering and strangely consistent. Drownings, boating accidents, sudden disappearances, many without explanation. Even expert swimmers have died in shallow, calm water. Divers describe underwater forests, jagged debris, and tangled remains of buildings, hazards never fully cleared. But it's not just dangerous, it's eerie. Many victims never resurface. Others are found in life jackets, intact, but lifeless. In some cases, they reappear months later, perfectly preserved, as if the water itself held them hostage. Scuba divers report being grabbed by phantom hands. One described swimming past a submerged house, the outlines still visible, when he felt something brush his leg. Then a force pulled him downward. A local woman, fishing from the shore, heard splashing and screams, but no one was there. Her line tugged sharply. When she reeled it in, the hook was twisted and bent. A former paramedic, now retired, said this: "We pulled up bodies with their faces frozen in terror. I've worked lakes all over Georgia. Only Lanier leaves you feeling like something's watching." Locals say they feel heavy pressure in their chest, near certain coves. Some won't go near the water at night. The media loves a good ghost story. But what gets buried, literally and figuratively, is the real story of Oscarville. The forced removal of Black families, the land theft, the racial violence. Lake Lanier didn't just flood a forest, it flooded a legacy. Oscarville was never honored. No monument, no plaque. Just a name whispered in urban legends, disconnected from its truth. Lake Lanier is a place of power, beauty, and pain. Some believe it's cursed. Others call it coincidence. But maybe what haunts these waters isn't supernatural at all. Maybe it's memory, a town drowned, a history denied, and hundreds of lives still pulled under. This is Obscura Historica, where we resurface the stories history tried to sink. If this haunted you like it haunted us, subscribe for more buried truths, like the video, and share it, so Oscarville is never forgotten again.